After going to Holly's mother, Jerry and she have an argument about the future, as Holly wants a more stable life. Jerry doesn't feel this need. He thinks that money isn't that important in their life. In an outburst of rage, Jerry leaves the apartment, but quickly comes back and apologizes to Holly. They are about to have romantic moments, until Jerry mentions he is not like Holly's father, and that he will not leave her. Holly gets mad at that and stops cuddling with him. Jerry goes into the other room and starts a striptease from there. Holly really enjoyed that, and they end up sleeping in the same bed. Unfortunately, Jerry passed away because of brain tumor. Holly, her mother, and friends of the family gather in her mother's bar for Jerry's funeral. Holly made his urn. Jerry didn't want his funeral to be sad and morose, so he asked them to put his favorite music during his funeral. Holly laughed at that music, and the fact that it shocked her mother made her laugh even more. The funeral quickly turned to a party, where Denise, a friend of the family, is trying to hook up. Holly's mother proposes to her daughter to stay there for the night, but Holly refuses, and goes home with the urn. After arriving, Holly puts the urn next to her bed. She quickly gets undressed to go sleep, but she ultimately ends up crying and calls Jerry's phone repeatedly to hear his voice again. A week later, Holly is still grieving the death of her husband. She still makes coffee for two, and she hasn't left the house since. Her mother is worried about her, and asks Holly to call her. Holly still asks Jerry to turn out the lights at night, until she realizes that he's not in bed. She wakes up to go turn off the lights, and sees Jerry singing her a song, "I'll Love You Forever." She's very happy to see him again, and she asks him advice about her job. That job that she hates. Jerry simply reassures her about the future and tells her to quit. 3 weeks later, Holly's apartment is a complete mess. She sings along with the song on the TV, stepping on chips she left on the couch, until her family breaks in for her 30 years birthday. Her sisters applaud her for her show, and her mother scolds her about the state of the apartment. Her family also encourages her to take a shower, due to the terrible odor they smell, until they find a package delivered to the house. It's a happy birthday cake sent by Jerry. At first, Holly thinks this is a plan, but she finds an audio recording of her deceased husband that asks her to go party that night, and that 10 letters will come to her soon. With the help of her sisters, they go out to a homosexual club. The bouncer obviously refuses to let them in, but they manage to enter by pretending that Holly is the princess of Finland. After that, they go to the bar, where Holly talks with the bartender, a man named Daniel, which suffers from rudeness as Holly calls it. She ends up fainting due to the alcohol and Daniel carries to the bed upstairs. He looks at her a last time before leaving. When Holly wakes up, her sister remembers her about the letter, so she rushes down to her home, nearly falling when running in the streets, to read the letter Jerry wrote her. The letter asked her to buy a lamp and a beautiful dress, saying that it will be important for the next letter. Holly remembers the funny moments she spent with Jerry. Holly has to get back to work. She works as a real estate agent, and as she's selling an apartment to a man, his wife bursts in saying that they must buy it. The man isn't so convinced, but his tyrannical wife forces him, until Holly steps in and calls her out for being such with her husband. Spring, as Holly is searching for a new job, a man dressed all green knocks on her door. He gives her Jerry's second letter, which says that she must go to the karaoke, where she might be rewarded. She says to herself that she'll never be able to do that, and she remembers the time she went to the karaoke with Jerry. After Jerry teased her up to go sing, she did, and she sang beautifully, until she fell on stage. She blamed Jerry for that, and she regrets it now that he's gone. To make up for that, she decides to do what the letter says, and she goes to the karaoke. After she finishes singing, Daniel joins her table. They chat for a bit, and he gives her his number. Holly receives her third letter. It came with Jerry's jacket leather, and it asked her to give Jerry's clothes away, that it was finally time. Holly and Daniel go on a date, where they eat sandwiches and envy an old couple. Holly is impatient to get her letter. She's waiting in front of the mailman to drop it. It turned out to be a gift, a vacation, to be more precise, for her and her sisters. Holly told her mother about it, and her mother told her she thought she was seeing Daniel. But Holly answers he's just a friend. Holly's mother couldn't take it anymore, and told her that this was not healthy. The letters will stop coming at some point, and that she will be even more devastated when that happens. Daniel heard the conversation, and he teared apart 2 tickets for a Yankees game, where he wanted to take Holly on a second date. They go on the trip, in Ireland. The destination lead them to a beautiful house, where both her friends found a letter, both stating what they should do to make Holly happy. They go to Jerry's favorite bar, where they see a gorgeous man playing on the stand. Holly's friends push her to make a move, and after gathering her courage, she goes. The man, named William, and Holly chat for a bit, and he tells her he has a song for her. He goes on stage and sings a song that Jerry sang to her long ago. She gets sad and leaves the pub. Her friends follow her. A few days later, all 3 of them go fishing, and after an unfortunate accident, they lose their oars to the water. As they're staying there for so long, her friend tells her she's expecting a baby, and her other friend tells her she's getting married. And even though she's happy for her friends, she feels sad about that. They end up being saved by William, and they invite him to eat with them. Holly's friends push her to make up with William, and even though she was reticent at first, despite her feeling conflicted about that, after they made love, Holly realizes William is a close friend of Jerry. So William decides to tell her stories about them to make her feel better. The next morning, Holly visits Jerry's parents, and after talking a bit with them, they give her a letter that Jerry left and ask Holly to go to his vault. After going there, Holly remembers the first time she met Jerry. She was lost and asked him for help, and as they were taking the same road, they ended up knowing each other. And ultimately, after sharing some time together, they kiss. Holly flees without giving her name, saying that if they meet again, it will be destiny, and she takes his jacket with him. Another 3 weeks later, Holly is back home. Her friends are worried about her, and they want her to come to the wedding. So she starts drawing and designing shoes, and she decides to do that for a living. And after not answering her friends' calls for so long, she goes to talk to her and apologizes to her, as this is not an attitude a best friend should have. She proposes to make her wedding shoes, and her friend gladly accepts. Holly invites Daniel to a date. She shares with him her new passion of creating shoes, and he's very happy to see her, until she mistakenly calls him Jerry. He gets mad and tells her he's tired of being a shoulder to cry on, that he wants to be more than that. Afterwards, he left the restaurant, leaving her alone there. She feels lonely, seeing all those couples in the restaurant, and she leaves right before tears start to fall down her face. Holly rushes to her mother's house to cry on her shoulder. She says that she will be unhappy, no matter the job she chooses, or the friends she has, now that Jerry left. Her mother comforts her and takes her to where she used to stay with her husband, Holly's father. Her mother tells her a lot about him, how he used to make her laugh, how they danced together, and she finishes by explaining to her how she got over losing him. She gives Holly the last letter of Jerry, saying that he made her promise to give it. Winter, Daniel left a voice message to Holly, apologizing for what he said the other day, and inviting her to the new Yankee Stadium. They get there with the help of Daniel's uncle. Holly gives Daniel the last letter, and tells him to read it for her. The letter says how much Jerry loved her during his living, but that it was time to live her life, her new life. She listens to Jerry's advice and kisses Daniel, but they both dislike the kiss, and chose to just be friends. Holly makes the shoes for her friend, and she opens her successful shoe shop. She takes her mother on a trip to Ireland where they meet William and his father.